If you're a new or aspiring business owner and have spent more than 5 minutes on the internet looking up advice about your new business, you've likely heard the phrase, you need to form your LLC immediately. Well, that might be the case for some individuals who are receiving that advice at that time. It's definitely not the case for everybody. And I've seen instances where people form their LLC too early in their business process, and they could have deferred those costs and expenses of creating their LLC to a different time or a later date when it made sense to do so. So if you're new to my videos, I'm Max, and I'm a corporate attorney who's helped hundreds of people form their first business. And I'm also the owner of the community Easy Startup on School that teaches people how to form their own LLCs step by step. And in this video, I'm going to go over some scenarios and instances and when it makes sense in the process to form your own LLC. So that being said, let's just go over a couple scenarios when it doesn't make sense and when it does make sense. So scenario one, I'm going to dub as the no revenue side hustler. And this is just an individual who's trying to think of an idea or a side hustle that makes sense for them. Maybe they want to make money online. Maybe they want to start flipping couches, flipping products online. And that's just the idea in their head and they haven't actually started doing it. And those are people who do not need to create their LLC quite yet, right? An LLC is designed to limit your liability and protect your personal assets against customer or client claims. It also gives you some, tax benefits if you're starting to generate revenue. And this no revenue side hustler doesn't have any customer or clients and has no revenue. So they can't really benefit from the LLC structure itself. So if they've tried to go start an LLC, right when they had their idea, then they're just incurring an expense that doesn't need to be incurred. And now you just have extra paperwork and ongoing responsibilities of maintaining your LLC when you're not even generating revenue. So that no revenue side hustler does not need to form their LLC at that time. So scenario two, let's talk about a service provider that already has clients. So this is when it makes sense to start your LLC, right? If you have any contracted clients or customers, or you have clients or customers that you're helping in any service type business, those clients or customers could potentially bring claims if they believe that you're performing a missed service or you're not quite performing up to standards, or they have any sort of, claim or suit that they could file against you in court. An LLC is going to protect your personal assets from those claims. So just an example, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes of creating your LLC. But if you have your LLC properly formed, then that client or customer can only go after assets that are in your business. So think about anything that's in your business bank account, any assets, hard assets your business has if you're a brick and mortar store. So anything like that, they can go after the assets of the business, but they can't go after the assets of you personally. So if you have clients or customers, this is why it makes sense to form an LLC, because you want to keep your personal assets protected and you want to have only your business assets exposed to customer or client claims. And so let's go to bucket number three, which is just the online creators or influencers. And these individuals they don't really have any direct clients or customers, right? They're just creating content that is promoting their lifestyle, giving like online advice, sometimes maybe about fitness or something like that. And they don't really have anyone buying anything from them, right? They're just generating net revenue from Instagram or YouTube or things like that. I would say that those individuals, a majority of them, unless you're one of the top earners on that social media platform, you don't necessarily need to form an LLC, even though you might be treating this as just sort of your separate side hustle or business, not necessarily a requirement that you form an LLC. And so scenario number four sort of goes into scenario number two that we talked about when I talked about having customers or clients. In that context, I was talking more about maybe like an online business or service where you're signing customers or clients, or maybe you're providing some sort of consulting service. This bucket four, I'm going to narrow it down more into basically a higher risk business is what I'm going to call them. And these are businesses with physical locations, employees, things that perform services or sell goods to the public. This is a 100% scenario where you need an LLC, right? If people are coming into your store or location physically, are there, you're selling them something, you need to be protected from a liability standpoint 100%, because this is where you deal with, slip and fall scenarios. We've all heard of stuff like the hot coffee scenario with McDonald's, where an individual is going through McDonald's drive-through, the employee spilled the hot coffee on them. McDonald's actually lost a lawsuit for millions and millions of dollars for providing that certain customer hot coffee that resulted in certain medical expenses, whatever. So if you're a brick and mortar business and you sell any sort of services or goods where people are coming to your physical location, you 100% need an LLC in order to protect your personal assets, as well as you're going to get tax benefits. But this one goes to more of the liability protection. So 100% you need an LLC. So now that we talked about some different scenarios, I'm going to talk briefly about some trade-offs that people like don't really talk about, right? And that's the reason I'm making this video, is because that no one tells individuals that who are making their LLC that there's ongoing responsibilities that come with creating an LLC. It's not just a create it and forget it scenario. There's annual reports that you need to file. Depending on your size, you could potentially need to draft and sign certain annual resolutions. And there's general upkeep and things that you have to do to make sure that you're maintaining that liability protection. If you want to know what this is, again, I have a community that talks all about this called Easy Startup on School. Check out the link in my bio or in the description of this video. And it's totally free to join. You can come learn about what you need to do after you create your LLC in order to maintain that liability protection and those tax benefits. To perform a quick recap, if you're a no revenue side hustler, you don't necessarily need to form an LLC yet. If you perform any sort of online business services or consulting, or you educate people like I do in my community school, I would recommend that you likely create an LLC if you're generating any sort of revenue with that service. Item number 3, if you're an online influencer or content creator, it depends on how high status you are in kind of the revenue that you're bringing in. But again, likely you do not need to form any type of specific business entity. And item number 4 is a brick and mortar store where you're selling goods or performing any type of service, 100% needs an LLC. So if this video helped you out and helped you think differently about when it might be time to form your LLC, I'd appreciate you guys hitting the like and giving me a subscribe if you want to learn more. And if you're a new or aspiring business owner and want to learn step-by-step how to create your own LLC, and it is time for you to create one, go check out my community, Easy Startup. I'll teach you how to do it for free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.